Hello, everybody. Today I'll be talking about mind programming, and it's a huge topic. But today I'll talk about getting stuck into things. If you get stuck into things, you cannot move forward. You cannot march forward. A glue of yesterday and yesteryears will hold you so tight that you cannot escape. You have to understand your mind. That is all. For a mind, imagination and reality is same. Mind is so innocent, so naive, right? And you have to respect unconscious mind. Once you get to know that little unconscious mind is selfless. But the conscious mind is very opportunist, in that it just adjusts and fluctuates according to the environment, right? If you go in Europe and, going to the beach wearing two-piece is good in Europe, that is what it does, okay? But if it goes to, Middle East, it does not do that, right? In the past, right, like in hunting and gathering society, you had like several wives, you had several husbands, and the concept of husband and wife was not yet institutionalized as today, right? Today, the civilization is in other level, right? It was not like that before, and we human beings had same mind. But right now, people are getting stuck in the thing that they have made, right? Just because you have same eyes, same nose, same mouth, same lips, same hairstyle, everything that looked same yesterday, that looked same day before yesterday, does not mean you have to be same all the time. You have to get out of the box, We are always stuck. People are not even getting to know their mind. It's your life. It's personal life, all right? So getting stuck in husband, getting stuck in like mother-in-law, father-in-law, getting stuck in dad, mom. By saying this, I'm not trying to tell you that you have to quit relations. It's there. It is there, right? Even if you tell that, this is sky like 1,000 times, sky will be there. Even if you don't tell sky is there. It's just there, right? That's all. And now the level of understanding that I'm trying to impart on all of us, actually I'm practicing also by saying this. I'm exclusively telling what I feel, all right? And this is not my discourse, obviously. Maybe I have taken, some of the things from one section, some things from other sections, some things from other sections. So I've just accumulated this from other discourses, right? So I'm a trained, I have a diploma in neuro-linguistic programming. That is why I got opportunity to understand all these things. And I have a very limited listeners. And I just want to impart this to my students, to my friends, to my peers. That's all. All right. So now we have a very interesting thing like ego, that rules us all the time. Ego is something very dangerous. One time there was a research, and this is my makeup, which means I just make up stories and things to make things clear. So many of the things that I tell in a story form is most of the time a make-up story, but that makes sense, right? Ramayana is a make-up. People like majority, some people believe Ramayana is a make-up story. It's a myth, you know. It's a myth. Mahabharata, the same thing. So that is why I also make up, in order to make things more clearer, to spread some light on the concept. So, yeah, one time there was a research, and in the research, 50 people were, interviewed separately and asked about the problem. Let me break it down. For example, if I was being interviewed, then I was asked, like, who do you have problem with? Okay, and then I say I have problem with X, right? And when I explain problem, and this does not happen all the time, I mean it, there are sometimes, and I'm talking about like a situation that is about two people having almost same frequency, which means there are some people who are very, very, who are very, what do you call, who have a very bad intention. We have a very bad intention, but they don't see their bad intention. They think that they are doing what they are doing, how they are doing. Everything is good. That is what they think, because the concept is they just put them in the center, right? Therefore that is the problem. That's why I'm telling to move on, to jailbreak yourself, to come out of the box, right? Because every time, and I'll connect this with the example, like an X was asked a problem, right? X person was asked about the issue, to write it down, just to write it down. What is the problem, with whom, and, with whom do they have problem? They were asked to write. And like everybody, almost everybody, right, did not see their problem. Which is true, right? Because you are living your life in a way you like to live your life. Because I keep on telling this all the time. You are like, 7 billion people are there in this world, and there are 7 billion thoughts. And thoughts, now see, I was listening to a video on neuro-linguistic programming, and somebody was telling that 7 billion thoughts come in our mind. I think that's in a minute, yes. Oh my goodness. And how can you expect to be same? Why are we stuck in a thing like relationship? Tomorrow it might change. So you'll be confused. It is almost like, one time I was listening to Rajneesh. One time, it was 14, 15 years before. I was listening to Rajneesh, and he said that one time multipedes, a creature, a small creature that have so many legs and, hands and all these things, like thousands of them, I guess. Yeah. One time multipede was asked, hey, you are smart, Cookie. Totally smart. And you use your noodle like anybody else, like nothing else, right? You are out of this world. You're a genius. Blah blah blah. Things like that. And Multipede was confused, right? Because Multipede never thought about this thing. Like he's got, not being gender biased, I don't know, yeah. Like, let me tell it's okay, yeah. He's got 1,000 of legs, right? Now, which leg comes in front? Which leg comes in the back? Which leg comes in the middle? Like, and what legs operate in what manner? That was confusing to Multipede. Now Multipede was stuck. Now Multipede started thinking the seed that generated, or that generates thinking process, was implanted in his brain, right? Now it was a very hard time for a multipede to walk now. Multipede started thinking, okay, which leg comes first? Which leg comes second? Which leg comes third? And boom, and boom, and boom, and boom, and 1,000 times. Like they've got a very short lifespan, I guess, right? So multipede could not walk. And that multipede looked at other multipedes. Other multipedes were functioning fine. So therefore, my point is, and this is a funny story, right? And my point is, so the society, right? Society is there. You have dad, you have mom, you have wife, you have husband, you have children. It's okay. It's okay. You don't have to, and you can be independent, all right? Until and unless exceptional case, all right, are there. For example, if you're a girl, you go somewhere, somebody rape you. Or if you're a boy, you go, something happened to you, somebody shoots you, somebody vandalizes your things, somebody encroaches your property, somebody, right, threatens you. Those are there. Those are there. It's like you go to a jungle, to see wild animals, and then you get caught up with tiger, and then tiger eats you, or snake bites you, or crocodile does something to you, right? These are exceptions. All right. I'm telling this because our mind, the moment I say this, I'm risking this because the moment I say this, your mind starts to bring up some rumbling thing, something that you want to defend with. That is called defense mechanism in a way, with very subtle sense of defense mechanism. And that is what it happens. So the way I'm telling this is, I'm telling this to your unconscious in a way. Now, to your unconscious, that telling your unconscious that there are some exceptions. All right, exceptions are there, but let's forget about exceptions and that. And let's. I'm telling this in general sense. So exceptions has to be considered. And okay, so if you don't, you are the one who decide what you want to be, right? For example, in today's society, people tell that women, like, they cannot stay. It's hard sometimes. Yeah, totally, I agree. It's hard for women. So most of the time, let me take it that way. It's hard for men also, right? It's hard for children. It's hard for like everybody, right? Because we are living in a society where like majority of the people believe in things like there is a pattern in a society, right? There's a pattern. For example, in the United States, you don't have to marry. It's not. I'm sorry. It's not you don't have to marry, but you don't need to get stuck in things like, for example, if relationship does not work out, you just you find other way, and it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. It's fine. That is what is for them, right? In Nepal, it's not like this. Maybe it will be different after 10 years. My point is, I'm not trying to touch on any major discourses that's that's been analyzed and criticized and talked endlessly. All right, I'm just telling that it is just a phenomena, right? It is just a mechanism. It is just a process. It is just an element that is existing in this society. Yes, survival of the fittest is a thing, definitely, right? But don't internalize anything. For example, if you see, there's nothing as good or bad. Let me try to give this example. This example will not be sufficient Because what I'm telling is I'm not talking about anything quantitative, all right? This is something qualitative. It is hard to illustrate. If I am to tell 4, then if I say 2 plus 2, it's 4. It's just very, it's a fixed tunnel, right? It's 4. It does not need any explanation or elaboration, so it takes time. So this is a thing, right? I was gonna give you one example. I just forgot. I don't know what happens. I forget sometimes. I tell something, and if it digresses, I just forget. But I was telling something is about a society. Yeah, let me go back to some of my points so that I can connect the dots. I was talking about society, and yes, it is hard, right? But my point is, right, don't internalize the thing, you don't, because tomorrow, I'm telling this because, tomorrow the scenario might be different, right? Who knows? Like before, religion was biggest thing, right? Therefore, it became a culture, right? It became a culture. Now it's not like that. I don't know, people talk about religion. Religion is there, right? It stays there. Now in corporate world, corporate people, corporate citizens are very talented. They're like super talented, right? Metaphorically, they can be called as a Spider-Man or Superman, right? They're like that. So they take thing in another level. They put the element, religion, and they do so much with that thing, religion, right? Maybe they open some application. They do, because today's life is like people are cyborg. You know what cyborg is? Definitely, it's a cyborg is half man and half like inanimate thing, like half man and half machine, right? So people think in different way now. It's not that you fight against other, like, they take things into another level, So the machine is embedded in our system. Take it that way. We are mechanical now, and there is, and now this we are fixed in such a system that I don't think that that erupts. And here is where Karl Marx, I think he slightly, he slightly fell apart, or maybe, here is something that I don't understand now, because he told that in a very simple way. He told that, X is rich, Y is poor, right? And X becomes richer and richer and richer. Y becomes poorer and poorer and poorer. And there will be a gap. In a very simple way. Things are very simple, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, there will be a gap. And that gap will erode, or that gap will squeeze, or that gap will, what do you call it? That gap will be gapless, right? And there will be, once again, there will be a mix of poor and rich and everybody. So it'll so, and then the other mode of society, other mode of production will start, something like that. That is what he said, right? But right now I don't see that. Because capitalism, the will of capitalism is such that you are put in a position, right, where if you get out of that position, you cannot survive. So and now you're appreciating capitalism, right? People tell colonization is over, and I see colonization everywhere, right? But now the colonization is set up in such a way, and it has communicated in our mind, in our unconscious, in such a way that we appreciate colonization now. We appreciate colonization, right? It's globalized place. Colonization is, we see what Facebook is doing to us. See what, this, and once again, I'm not against Facebook. I'm telling that we use, like we've got 24 hours, right? In Earth, it has the Earth rotates in a sun in semi speed. What I mean to tell is, like, we just have 24 hours. That's all. And physiologically, or biologically, or psychologically, or environmentally, whatever, you gotta sleep at least 6 hours, 6 to 8 hours, right? And we didn't meditate, we didn't do anything. Therefore, when we jump into our bed, we have this phone, we have all this thing, and we have thoughts, right, rambling up in our mind. How can you sleep? People sleep by not sleeping. That there's a sleeping by not sleeping. People sleep. So at least 8 hours you gotta sleep, right? You take shower, you go to the restroom, you do this, you do that. Another 3-4 hours gone. It's like 12 hours. 50% of the day is gone. Now you've got 12 hours. Now what do you do in 12 hours? Right? You have to manage things. And in 12 hours, you work 10 hours. Because corporate citizen works, right? You work, you gotta work. The culture of today is a corporate culture, right? Therefore, like, you say hello, you say this, a business you have a particular communication pattern, right? That is what you do. You don't accept right now, because priority wise is your wife, is your husband, is your in-laws, is your father, is your mother, is your friends. But what you do is you spend, out of 7 days, minimum 5 days, you spend 8 to 10 hours in a work. And the competition is such that, because if you are in the industry, if you're fresher in the industry, you've got adrenaline, right? And you work. You work so hard that now there's a sense of competition. You work so hard because you're fresh. You have that adrenaline, right? And somebody who is working for 5 years, has a speed. It's like an airplane, when it first, until and unless it reaches to certain altitude, certain height, it shakes, it shakes, it shakes, and then it takes its speed. That's what happens. Now, this fresher, they've got adrenaline, and it's not their fault. They're manipulated by, by big bosses, by their seniors. And these seniors, they know how to manipulate. Therefore they are a leader, They are a warrior. They know how to manipulate things. If you don't know how to manipulate things, you're not leader. If you don't know how to shuffle off things, you're not leader. So understand, if somebody is leader, they know how to shuffle things, they know how to manipulate things, therefore they are leader, right? I hope you understand. It does not need any drilling, right? So you are manipulated. I'm taking time because I have a very limited proposition today, so that's why it is taking time. But I want you to understand, if I take some time, your mind will start, cooking up, and somewhere in the back burner, and that's what I'm telling you. So now this fresher, they do work like crazy. They do work like hell. They just do work so fast. And now it is a burden to somebody who's been working there for like 8 to 10 years, right? So my point is now, for example, if X is a fresher, if X works 10 hours, right? Because he's first time into this corporate industry and he feels like working, right? He works for X hours, right? But that, and somebody who's working for like 4 years, 5 years, has a speed, right? His experience. He works like X minus 2 hours maybe. Now, at the cost of somebody's adrenaline, somebody's like, enthusiasm, somebody's curiosity, somebody's like, innovativeness, like you're a fresher, right? And fresher that this stays for like 1 year, optimum, maximum. That old guy who's been there for like 4 or 5 years, they have to. Oh, I just realized, like I was always critiquing on one time there was a woman, there was a lady, there is a lady, there was a lady, there will be a lady. I don't know what to tell. She's alive, right? Yeah, and she was lecturing us on some TEFL, like Celta, TEFL, these are language things, yeah. And every example she gave, she was like telling C. I just realized now, I keep on telling he, right? Because maybe that is my comfort zone. So don't, if my, what to tell, I don't know. My students who are female, right? And if society is considering you as SHE, for me, like he, she, it does not matter, right? But it's still, don't take it otherwise, all right? It is in my mind, so therefore I'm not being gender biased intentionally, purpose, no. Okay, this was a good break of the state, change of the state, right? Let's go back. Okay, I was telling that yes, computation, and that is like X minus 2 hours, right? Now at the cost of somebody becoming so active, that has to adjust 2 hours more, which becomes X plus 2 now. Because, right? No, in order to reach X hours, that guy has to work 2 hours more. Which means, my only point is, the workload comes to your doorstep, right? Now you have to work in your house also. Which is, now what was the equation? Equation was like 10-hour work. Now it became 12-hour work, right? You come to home and you bring work in the home. It's 12 hours. How many hours do you have left now? That is the point. See, it's culture, it's corporate culture, and motive of it is making money, and that is, once again, you make money in order for subsistence. That's all. What is difference now? See, you stay in village, right? You just eat rice early in the morning, evening. You just do basic things that you need, right? You accumulate some wealth, because income is not that income. If you're making 40K or like 400,000 a month, and you end up saving like 20,000 a month, so 20,000 is your income. So you have to understand that way. I'm not a accounting student, right? That is what you have to understand. That is your saving. That's a very creative understanding, or that's a very natural understanding of income. Is 30,000, right? You stay in city area. You do like your work is juxtaposed, right? You do so many different versions of work, and you don't save anything, right? You earn money, you don't save anything. What is the use? It's no use, right? It's just addiction, because many people like to stay in city, and our mind is very, very versatile. The mind likes versatile kind of thing. Therefore, you like city life, you stay here. That is happening all the time, right? This urban culture is sidekicking rural culture. Oh my goodness.